Alright guys, very exciting episode today. We're live from Hong Kong. I'm here with our good friend and colleague Sik Hon. We've known each other now for over 2 years, almost 3 years now. He first hosted our MAT course back in 2015. Time flies when you're having fun. So I'm really excited to be back. We just had a big MAT course here again on the weekend. And there's no one better to speak about, I don't think, than Sik Hon when we talk about 21st century physiotherapy, because throughout Asia, he's the man that's changing the game over here. He's got some really big thoughts and big ideas for physiotherapy, and so I'm really excited to hear some of those, and I'm sure you guys will get a lot out of the chat today. So welcome, Sik Hon.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having us here.
No, mate, thank you for having us in this beautiful location at Sportsline. I think one of the most beautiful clinics in the world, I think, looking over Hong Kong Island, especially at night. So you're very, very, very lucky. You're very honoured to be here. Now, so for the people who don't know you, Sik Hon, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I started my physio practice back in 2001. So right now is the 17th years of professionals practice. So it's been quite a while. But for the sports physio we are doing right now, actually we started right around the Beijing Olympic in 2008.
Yep.
Yeah, so back then when we start practicing sports physio in Hong Kong, virtually there is no sports physio. So we are the one who do all the beginning work, who started the market, who deal with all the team's owner, all the athletes one by one. Yeah. Tough time, but good time.
I would. No, you've done a lot now. You've got a big team behind you, both here and in Taiwan now. So you're doing some really great things. Why did you want to get into the sports area? Like, why was that your passion to start to get into there? Because I know a lot of physiotherapists, have that passion to get into sports physio. What led you to that part?
Yeah, I would say, because I'm a sports lover, I have passion in sports, all kinds of sports. Well, I was doing badminton and martial arts in the past. Yep. Well, I was a semi-professional martial arts athlete.
Yep.
So I got a lot of injury. I need to treat myself, but somehow, even I'm a practicing physio at that time, I cannot source any good practice in Hong Kong.
Yep.
So it came to me the idea, how about I run my own practice in sports and provide some of the best treatment and some of the best injury preventions to all the athletes in the area.
Yeah, fantastic. And so, what are some of the skills you need to work on, I guess, to help you get into that sports area? I guess university doesn't necessarily set you up very well in Australia, and I know from speaking to you in the past over here to get into working with athletes. Yeah. What are some of the things that you think you need to work on, and that that you find the physios that you have worked for you need to work on as well?
Yeah, if you are talking about evidence-based practice, I believe in sports physio is the least evidence of all. Because somehow we need to have our hard skill, which is not taught in university. Yeah. Well, at least when you talk about the basic stuff like strapping, taping, all this stretching, all the exercise prescription, we have been taught in university, but not that much, not enough to practice in the professional field.
Yep.
So we need to learn a lot on field.
Yep.
And from postgraduate training. And the other stuff is the soft skills. Well, because if we are working in other discipline, it's quite easy. Well, we just work with our clients and that's it.
Yeah.
But in sports, we are working with the whole team. Well, most of the time, we need to report to the team manager. Most of the time, we need to report to the coaches. And sometimes we need to report to the scout, to the agents of the players, of the athletes. Yeah, so it is a teamwork. It is a team collaboration. We need the soft skills that have never been taught in university.
Yeah.
So that is a big challenge for most of the practitioners as well.
I think so. So how did you go about building some of the relationships with the sports team, especially if they didn't know, what sports physio was? They hadn't heard of you before, I assume. How did you go about approaching them and starting to get to work with some of those teams?
Yeah, the first impression is really important. Well, by first impression, I would say, we don't need to please everybody.
Yeah.
And usually I work with the team with evidence. Yeah. So I show them what we can do, what we are capable of doing, and what's the value we are bringing to your team or your practice, your athletes.
Yeah.
So that's the way we work with team, and then we iron out all the relationships, and we work bit by bit to change the schedule or change the mentality of the whole team. So it is soft and hard, but it takes some time. I would say if I need to say what is the most important element, it would be patience.
Yeah, I think that's a bigger thing that a lot of us lack these days. I think we all want everything to happen now. But good things take time, and I think you're a good, representation of that. Spend your, time over the last 17 years building up into, what you've done today. So you said there's a few things you need to iron out, some things you need to work on when you start to work with sports teams. What are some of those key areas that you find are really important to get running well for a team to be successful and to hopefully have less injuries?
Yeah, the first thing is we need to respect to all the professionals in the team. Well, somehow we would say, well, we are coming from the clinical perspectives. So we see everything, most of the thing, black and white. But in sports, in other industry, in the other part of the world, actually there is some. Well, I don't say it's gray area, because between black and white is all the colors. So the whole spectrum represents whole lots of different practice. So we need to respect that, and we need to know why they are doing this, how they do this, and can our practice really add value to their practice, rather than well somehow it's quite easy to have a mentality to say that, well, my practice is better than your practice, then you need to follow my practice. But in sports world is totally different. The mentality should be, well, we have something to add on to your practice so that your practice can be better.
Definitely. I think everyone working together is usually going to get a better result than one person doing it their own way, all the time. So I think that's a really good point you bring up. So you've obviously got your practice here in Hong Kong. You've got a new one in Taiwan as well. What made you think about starting to then take your practice from where you are now and start to take it overseas?
Wow. Well, because for the science we are using, for the practice we are doing, well, actually is something very generic. So we can copy and paste. Well, I can use the word copy and paste literally. We can copy and paste the same practice and the same know-how to all the Chinese speaking community. And well, because we could see the emergence of the sports medicine market in the area as well. So that's why we expand from Hong Kong to Taiwan and probably to China very soon as well.
Great. So what are some of the skills and some of the things that your team does that you think, maybe you do better than other people? Or what are some of your areas of specialty that in your practice?
One very big thing is the evidence level and the assessment. Well, thanks to MAT, we use MAT extensively. We use MAT in all our athletes. So that's one thing, but because we can build up the evidence database, and we can track and monitor our athletes all the time, from time to time. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, well, we have our own data scientists as well. So we keep track of all the data. We keep track of all the changes, even if it is a minor changes. But if we can match into some pattern, then we can. Well, I hate to use the word predict, but we can prevent some preventable injury. Or somehow we can hack into the performance. I think if we can improve performance, a lot of the time that goes a long way to decreasing someone's potential injury risk. We might not be able to prevent them, well, not yet anyway. I'm not sure if we'll ever be able to. Hopefully, with some of the exciting research you're doing, but at least you said you can use that to enhance performance and hopefully reduce injury risk as well. Now, I don't think there's a lot of physios out there who are starting their own data and data science company. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing there. You sort of mentioned it briefly just then, but why did you decide to start to go down this path of collecting data? Because I know a lot of therapists don't even consider data at all, let alone you're building a whole massive empire around it. Well, is one of the questions when we're doing the interview with the physio staff. We always ask the same question. So, tell me tell me the way you can prevent a sprained ankle. So usually is the exercise, is the shoes wear, is the play style, is the taping, some stuff, and is there any external factor? So and is there something that we can keep track of and see if there is any changes? Well, actually, I would say data is one of the most effective injury preventions to us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and when we go back retrospectively to see all the data, well, because we have some research in our own teams as well. So we work with some soccer team, we work with some basketball team, we work with some athletes as well. So we have the whole database to see, well, if you have this pattern, then probably you might have some chance of injury. Yeah. And if we can work with your coach, if we can work with your team, if we are, well, sometimes we work with the physio as well. Yeah. Then we can give some suggestions. Yeah, and in the past we practice this way as our own practice. Yeah. Yeah, because it really helps our practice. It really helps the athletes. It really helps the teams. And well, I would say along the way, some of our advisors say, well, you solve your problems, and actually this capability would help the other teams, help the other physios to solve their own problem as well. But there's the challenge ahead is the work, because in this industry, data is nothing for the moment. They don't treasure the data, and even they treasure the data, they don't have the ability to work on the data, or they don't know how to work with the other professionals to dig deep into the data. Yeah. So that's why we started.
I think it's a really good example of how, practice is then, leading research. And then often I think these days research tends to be leading practice, and often coming from a place which maybe the people who are actually doing the research aren't actually aware or up to date with what's happening in a clinical environment. There's a bit of a disconnect there. So I do really like the way that you're going about taking what you found as being successful and actually going and critically analysing it to see if there is something there, and digging deeper, going a little bit further. You mentioned to me that you're drawing from other professions as well in this sort of journey that you're going on. What other professions are you taking this knowledge from? What are you learning from them?
Well, quite a lot. Well, we work with the first advisor. Actually, he is a sports exercise physiologist. Yeah. So his research is in all the biometrics and how to use the biometrics to generate some actionable insights. Yeah. So he is our first advisor, and the other people like data scientists, actuarial analysts, and IT professionals. And one interesting people working with us is a university professor. Okay. His research is in pattern recognitions.
Wow, yeah. Well, it's a very handy person to have in when you're starting to get into some research around that. So.
Yeah. So I would say for all the pattern recognition, for all the data analysis, actually the technology is out there. Yeah. For the other industry, like for the retail industry, for the fintech, for the finance industry, they have been using the same analysis for many years. So the technology is pretty ready. Yeah. Just that we need to have our expert input. To work with them to generate something meaningful. And
to collect the right data, I guess. Yeah. So what sort of, without giving too much away, obviously, what sort of things are you looking at, and what sort of data are you collecting, from the patients and athletes that you're working with?
Well, it's quite basic. Well, actually, it is all the things you can get from your wearables right now, even from your iPhone or your Android phone. So it's the heart rate, is all the other basic measurement. Well, because at the end of the day, the most difficult part is not analyzing the data. It's collecting the data. If you need your clients to collect manually every day, well, I believe you might lose a lot of data very soon, because they don't have the compliance to do that. So what we are doing is we work with the device, and then we collect the data. We archive the data. We pull the data from their devices, and they don't need to do a lot of work.
Yep. Great. I think that's always a good thing. Compliance is hard enough at the best of times to do, one or two exercises, let alone track their habits, daily. I think it's often a little bit too much to ask. But I think, as you mentioned, the technology now is making a lot of this data more accessible. Yeah. And we can start to look at some of those external factors, which maybe as physiotherapists we don't really consider. How's someone's sleep affecting there? There's lots more research going on about sleep at the minute. How's someone's, the heart rate and their intensity level through the day? How does that affect their pain state and those type of things? So I think it's a really exciting time to be involved in physiotherapy. I think there's going to be some massive advances coming out from this data that you're collecting, which is awesome. So there's another arm to your business as well. So you've got obviously the practices, which there's going to be a lot more soon. You've got the data science. And you've also, a course host.
Yeah.
So you host some great courses.
Yeah.
But but also you sort of involved in products.
Yeah.
What made you decide to get into selling and distributing products, being the head of massive worldwide brands through the Asian markets?
Well, you're the first one to talk about the story. Well, it's something passive actually. Well, in the beginning when we started practice our sports physiotherapy practice in Hong Kong, we had quite a lot of difficulties in sourcing our own equipment because sports medicine is not happening in Asia back then. So we need to make a call. Well, back then it's not email. It's really pick up the phone and make a call to all the manufacturer or the brands in the States. So we make the order there. And somehow, because we make the order quite frequently because we need to use the equipment. And and I think it's like 3 or 4 months later, they just say, well, it's enough.
Yeah.
You should distribute the products.
Yeah, right.
And then, well, in the beginning, we didn't see it as a business model because we are coming from a practitioner point of view. Well, I just want to practice.
Yeah.
But somehow they convinced me, well, the products help you in your practice. You should distribute the products to help the other practitioner to do their practice as well.
Yeah.
Because you have the obligation to start the market.
Yeah. I think this is the second time I've heard a similar story in Hong Kong this week. So another one was someone was having trouble getting a supply of tape. They just couldn't get tape from anywhere. So they ended up having to do the same as you, start to become the supplier. So I think that's really cool. So what sort of things do you look at when you take on a new product to distribute?
Well, one big thing is the evidence, I think. Yeah. Well, they need to back by research. They need to back by evidence. And they should be something accessible to most of the therapists. And meanwhile, the public can use it as their own health enhancing product as well.
Yep. I think it's important that we, empower people, and that's one thing I have noticed about all the, products you do distribute here is they are all about allowing people to take, active control over their own care, which is, quite a, nice, refreshing approach, which is great. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the physio practice. We've talked about the data. We've talked about some of your product journey. How have you found your transition from a physiotherapist actually seeing and treating patients to now running these 3, big, organisations? They really are their own companies.
Yeah, well, you mean in 5 years, 10 years?
I don't know, how have you found just over the last, 10 years transitioning from being a hands-on physiotherapist to now being, business owner, multi-business owner?
Yeah, well, I tweeted and on Facebook share my status some days ago. You read the status as well. Well, some people say I'm a serial entrepreneur. Yeah, but I would say
so. Yes.
I would say I work on the same focus all the time, which is sports medicine, sports physio, and sports science.
Yeah.
So, well, what we are doing, well, no matter is practice, no matter is product applications or product distributions, or even for the data part, well, actually they are serving the same purpose. Yeah. So to me, is intuitively they blend in together.
Yeah.
So, well, just like my role, my role was practicing hands-on physio for 10 years, I would say, 10, 15 years.
Yep.
And right now, well, I still keep 1 day in a week on hands-on practice. Well, because I need to practice.
Yep.
The practice will refresh me for all the business decision. But somehow, well, the mentality is, well, I was helping my clients one-on-one, or one-on-two, or at a day. At most, I can help like 20 clients a day. But right now, because I'm running my own organizations, I can help like 100 or even 1,000 people every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think exactly the same way. People ask me a similar question. I'm only down to about 5 hours a week in practice. For a lot of the time I'm traveling around the world, and people say, "Don't you miss seeing patients?" So I do, definitely. But for me, we've got over 4,000 people using the mat. Yeah. For me, it's like hopefully seeing 50,000 patients a day. You're helping people on a different scale and in a different way, and I think that's a really good way to look at it. And I think if you keep engaged in physiotherapy like that, you still see yourself as helping that. I think it's still, it's a very rewarding, career.
And I'm still telling all the people I'm still practicing physiotherapy, but in a different perspective.
Exactly right. You take a lot of the philosophies and stuff into the business realm. We don't learn a lot about business in physiotherapy school. What are some of the biggest skills you've had to develop for business?
Right after physiotherapy school?
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Well, the first thing is you need to get a good mentor.
Yep.
You need to get a good business mentor. Well, because I don't know in Australia, but in Asia, business is we don't have business element in our university curriculum.
Yep, not in Australia either.
Oh, really? So the first thing is you gotta have a mentor. Well, the mentor might be your first boss.
Yep.
Well, in my case, it was my first boss.
Yep.
Yeah, and sometimes you might have some good practitioner outside, or even better is you have somebody coming from the other professionals or the other field of business. Well, because they see the things broadly, they will have a wider horizon that can help you to grow yourself, not just as a physiotherapy, not just as a business owner, but as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Well, there is an essential difference between business owner and entrepreneur. Well, business owner is, you have your own business, you can run your own business. Basically, you can do the things on your own.
Yeah.
But for entrepreneur is someone who can collaborate with the other persons, with the other professionals, even they have different perspective, even they have different sets of values. And the entrepreneur can collaborate, can coordinate, and can compromise with them to get the best results.
Yeah, I think a lot of the skills that I learn these days, where I take the most off is actually talking to some of my friends, in different industries, whether it be video production, whether it be in sales or marketing, whether it be he's a police officer. There's always different things you can learn from different people that help, your business. So you're obviously taking the profession here in Asia, into the 21st century through, evidence-leading treatment. You've got some great evidence-based products as your stock. You're collecting data. Where do you see physiotherapy going over the next, 10 years?
Wow. Well, I have a story to tell.
Yeah,
Back
great.
in 2005, I would say, in 2020, we don't see any physiotherapy.
Okay.
Anymore. Well, because at that time I thought about the advancement of technology. Well, say if the ACL injury, the rehab of the ACL injury will be shortened from 10 months to 2 months. So our job will be shortened by 8 months. Yeah, but somehow it didn't happen. It is still 10 months right now.
Yeah.
And I would say, well, we are transforming the physiotherapy practice from hands-on. Well, we still need hands-on practice. That's one of the essentials of physiotherapy, but to transform them from hands-on to more consulting, and really intelligent property part of the business. Well, because at the end of the day is our expertise in the brain rather than the hands that matters.
Well, as you know, you've got some great products here that can reproduce the hands pretty well now.
Yeah.
The brain is the thing, and the thought process behind, and that interaction, that personal aspect with people, I think is the thing that is going to serve us well going forward as we do start to get more into machine-based, learning and stuff especially, and using technology to do a lot of our assessments.
Yeah, and you really break all the practice. If we really break one physiotherapy section right now, actually most of the time spent on the assessment.
Yep.
So if you have good data, if you have good analysis, actually you will save a lot of time on the assessment and can go straight to the treatment.
Yep.
And the treatment you still need to do hands-on, you still need to do exercise, you still need the electrotherapy and all the other modality we are using right now. But it will save the time a lot because the data will guide you to the treatment.
Yeah, it becomes more effective as well.
It
gives our patient more, bang for their buck, and hopefully allows us to then help more people as well if we're not having to see people as often. I think definitely I'll see the treatment times for people coming down. Although I do see it going into, as you said, a bit more of a consulting role potentially, where you start to oversee some people's, healthcare, I guess, in general, movement goals, so which is great. Okay. So given that there's going to be a lot more technology involved, given assessment's going to be so heavily part of the, physiotherapy physiotherapy in 10 years, especially. What are some of the skills that physiotherapists are going to need to build to help bring themselves into the 21st century?
Yeah, one thing is soft skills.
Yeah, so I think that's more important. The more technology, I think, the more important that we'll get to.
Yeah, right now we cannot work on our own. We need to work with all the other people. Well, in the past, we just need to work with the clients and occupational therapists and the doctor and the nurse. But right now, we need to work with the whole community. We need to work with the whole public.
Yeah,
that's one thing. And the other thing is, well, apart from the soft skills, we should empower with the skills of research.
Yeah.
Not just the conventional research. Well, the conventional research is good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's still good. It's still valid. But somehow we need to equip ourselves with some basic data science.
Yeah.
So because when we see the science, we can do some elementary screening so that we know what we should look for in the data and how we can get better results from the data as well.
Well, I think we all need to be doing our research, with every patient, really.
Yeah.
Collecting data allows us to do that as well.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I walk through this place. There is technology everywhere. You've got all the latest new gadgets.
Yeah.
What are three of the top, bits of technology, whether it be, equipment, whether it be software?
Yeah.
What are the three things that you couldn't, do without? First, in your practice.
MAT.
Oh, of course, yeah. You've got to say that.
Seriously, we're using MAT every day, even I could say every hour.
Great.
Well, so that's one thing, and we are looking forward to a new technology as well.
Yep.
We will be using that extensively.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it over to Asia in your hands as well. You'll take the data with that and take it to the next level, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the other technology is foot scan.
Foot scan?
We use quite a lot of foot scan. Well, not just on the foot issues, but on the rehab and the baseline measurement as well. Because it is a good baseline measurement for the balance, for the mobility and stability.
Yeah.
So that's the second thing. And the third thing is we use quite a lot of Python.
Python? What's Python?
Well, Python actually is a programming language.
Oh, okay. I thought it was some new gadget that you hadn't shown me yet, where you wrap someone up and it starts vibrating or going up and down.
Oh yeah. There's in Taiwan. But there's a big machine called the Hilber. Well, it is to measure the dynamic stability with core engagement.
Okay.
Yeah. So well, probably when you arrive in our practice in Taiwan, you will have some fun with it as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but ultimately we are using quite a lot of Python and all the other programming language. Well, because that will help us to automate all the research, all the data analysis, and all the results generations.
Yeah.
Well, because we cannot do all the things by Excel.
Yeah.
If we do that, we cannot do what we are doing now. Well, because it would take a lot of man hours. But once we have Python, we have some IT professionals to help us to automate all the process.
Yeah.
It saves a lot of time.
Yeah.
We are saving like 80 or 90 hours a week just by the program.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
What other software do you find sort of saves your time? In running either the practice or running your other businesses. What are some other software you're using?
We are using Clinical.
Yep, Clinic. Yep, I definitely use that too.
Yeah, we are using PhysiTrack.
Yep.
All the Australian products.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are searching for one AMS, the athletic management system as well, but not successful.
Yeah.
Probably we might need to build our own.
It's often the way. If you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a good. You're already heading in that direction, so I look forward to seeing what you do on that front too. Sure. I look forward to use it. So, what are three take-home points you could give to new physiotherapists who've just graduated, to help them be successful through their career? 17 years down the track, what have you learned? What are the three best bits of advice you could give them?
Yeah, the first thing is be reminded to study hard at school.
Yep.
Yeah, because you will be doing what the university professor teach you in your practice all the time. Well, like in our practice, actually we are doing what is doing in the university. We just practice the original form of physiotherapy.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And the other thing is always ask questions.
Yeah.
Always. Well, whether it's your patient, you need to ask your patients, but you need to ask for the opinion from your colleagues, from the professor. Even sometimes I ask the other professional as well. Like if I have something I cannot explain to my patients, I will ask School of Design.
Yeah.
Because they are the professionals in carrying out the message.
Yeah.
So ask a lot of questions. And the third thing is, well, if you have time, try to do a lot of research.
Yep.
Yeah. You don't need to publish the research, but at least you know what you're doing, you know what is the effect size of what you are doing, and you know if you can improve on the effect as well.
Yeah. And it allows you to go back and just, review and look over to see, is what I'm doing in my practice actually effective for my patients? Am I getting the results that I think I am? So helps take some of our own bias away from it. It also helps us learn. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
As for asking questions, I think it's the honour of me being able to do these podcasts. I think I learn more from definitely than anyone else listening. I'm sure just from asking these questions. So I really thank you for spending a bit of time here. I know you're a very busy man, Sik Hon.
Thank you for coming to Hong Kong as well, and Taiwan.
Thank you for hosting us again. I look forward to being in Taiwan in a few days, and hopefully we'll get you back on again when I'm back over here either later in the year or early next year.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.